This is something that my university also suggested, that you can actually stay on your job seeker visa until like maybe your probation is over, because then
That's smart.
yeah, that's actually kind of smart. So just in case something goes wrong, at least you still have your job seeker and you can still be in the country and look for more jobs.
Alright guys, so welcome back once again. If you're somebody new to my channel, my name is Nikhilesh. I live here in Berlin. Here with my friend. What's her name?
I'm Pragya.
Pragya graduated already. Has an interesting story to share, her journey from India. Now joining company on 1st of November.
Yes,
Having a job now. I think that's the ultimate goal of every student.
for sure.
Yeah. And she's lived here for last 2 years in Berlin. Graduated from ESMT.
Yes,
a
that's right.
program called as Masters in Management. Is
MIM?
that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Why am I talking about you? Why don't you give your introduction to people?
I think as Nick already kind of introduced me, I'm Pragya. I finished my Masters in Management at ESMT Berlin, and I did a specialization in entrepreneurship and innovation. I've been in Germany for about 2 years now, and yeah, excited to start my new job soon.
What was your academic background in India?
I did a BBA, so Bachelor's in Business Administration. I did it in Christ. I think a lot of students do it in Christ.
Flex. I saw the flex. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And how much did you score there?
I don't quite remember anymore. I have a job now. I don't need to know this anymore.
हमें पता है कैसे नीचे लेके आना है. Okay. Okay. Tell us, why did you like choose MIM instead of, like, a lot of people do MBA, right? Why did you go with MIM?
So after my bachelor's, I worked for about 2 years. So when my bachelor's ended is when COVID kind of hit, and that kind of removed the option of studying abroad, because I definitely wanted to do it in person. So I thought, okay, let me work for a while. So I had about 1.5 to 2 years of work experience. And then when I was looking for universities for MIM as well as MBA, I did quite some research in this, and I think for myself, like for MBA, usually the universities want 3 or more years of experience, and that's kind of the reason why I chose the MIM instead of the MBA.
When did you graduate your bachelor's?
2019, no, 2020. 2020.
COVID time.
2021, I think, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you work in India before coming?
I did, yes. So actually, we have a real estate business in India. So I worked in that for a bit. I just wanted to also explore myself. So then I joined a digital marketing company for about 6 months. Realized it's not my thing. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking at universities for masters. So that was actually why I started looking for masters. And then I started shortlisting countries instead of just universities, because for me, the ultimate goal was to actually have a good work-life balance, which I was not getting in India. And that's where, of course, I think Europe and Scandinavian countries really top, even more than like say US or UK. And that's kind of how I came to the decision of doing a master's in, well, anywhere in Europe for that matter. Yeah.
Just for people's understanding, what is the basic difference between going and studying MIM and going and studying MBA?
So, I mean, I myself have not done an MBA, but from whatever information I could gather, what I understood is that MBA is a bit more practical in the sense that it's also like a lot of peer learning, because there are people from many very experienced people from a lot of backgrounds. So that kind of really helps a lot with the peer learning part of it. And of course, your network, I think that really builds your network a lot, because if you have so many people from good backgrounds, you already have a good network over there. Whereas MIM is more for like fresh graduates who are just starting out, and it's maybe a bit more theoretical than what MBA would be. So I mean, MIM is like an MSc almost, whereas an MBA is like a Master's in Business Administration. Yeah, this was the difference that I understood back then.
Just to put you in a situation, do you think you would have performed much with a higher caliber if you would have graduated from MBA?
I think it's hard to say, honestly, in terms of like perform better. I'm not really sure how to answer this question, but I think like it's a different mindset altogether. So I think for me, I was still in that fresh out of university and sort of a mindset. So So I feel like maybe I would not have fit in with the other people around me. I think they would have had a lot more experience, and maybe I would have felt more inferior, or I would have had like a major inferiority complex or something. So I don't really know. Again, hard to say. Yeah.
In a country where education is free, why did you pay? Because I've met students who are studying in public university with BBA, BCom background. Why did you pay? And how much did you pay?
Okay, so for me, my master's in management was around 25,000 for the entire 2 years. It was a 2-year course. When I was looking for other universities, I also found Mannheim, which is a public university, which is really well ranked as well. I had a conversation with a German. I had gone for a German exchange when I was in my 11th and 12th. So I had an exchange partner who was German herself. And I asked her like, hey, have you heard of Mannheim? Have you heard of ESMT? She was like, I have no idea what ESMT is, but Mannheim I have heard of. Even then, she suggested that I go for ESMT just because of the city, like because of the fact that it's in Berlin and it's a bigger city. That means more opportunities for English speakers. You have more company events happening. And I can say that for ESMT as well, that like we have a lot of people that used to visit our university, a lot of company events. So I think at the end of the day, when your goal is to find work, and there is not really a concept of placements here that we have in Indian universities, that's really, really helpful when you're really able to actually network with people. That was kind of the reason why I chose ESMT rather than Mannheim. And yeah, I think that was kind of the reason also why I paid. I didn't do too much research into public universities in Berlin. I was basically looking at rankings, and I don't think there were many in Berlin, at least with my research, but I could be wrong.
Do you still remember which all places did you apply for a MIM or any other course in Germany?
In Germany, actually, ESMT was the only one. I kind of did like one in each country. So I did RSM in Netherlands, HEC in Paris, ESADE in Spain, and of course ESMT in Berlin. And I got into ESADE, Spain, and ESMT in Germany. So I had to make the choice between which one to go for. And I chose Germany because I think career-wise, there is labor shortage in Germany, and like it's one of the biggest and best economies of Europe. So it just made more sense in that career perspective, like future perspective, to go with Germany.
Okay, let's quickly talk about the quality of education, right? Because what is it? Like why? Because I know ESMT, the brand name is quite big. What makes it so special? As a student, as an ex-student, what do you have to say on that?
I think for me, one of the really, really great things was the diversity. I mean, I know every university kind of says this about themselves, but I can say that like with ESMT Berlin, they really had so many different nationalities, like at least 30. And I mean, quite a lot. Okay, maybe I might be over-exaggerating. I'm also not sure, but I can check and tell you what the exact number was. And even I remember while doing the application, I think if they had too many people from a particular nationality, you can't even apply more. So like, for example, for at least that was, again, 2 years ago. I don't know what it's like now. But when I wrote in the nationality as Indian, then they said that like, they had already too many applicants and they couldn't take any more. So I think that kind of already tells you that they do actually have a sort of cap on that like diversity part of it.
What's the admission process to get into ESMT?
So of course there was an application that you had to fill out. If you passed through that application, then you would be called for an interview. If you passed the interview, then you got the offer to join the university, yeah.
Did you also write some essay in the admission process, or you don't remember?
Yes, I did. I think it was more like question and answers and not just a motivation essay, I think. But yeah, I don't quite remember.
I'm interested to now talk about job now, what you've got.
Yeah.
So tell us, I'm a novice. Tell us everything, like how do I find a job? You've spent a good amount of money, you went to the best school, you had everything best, what you wanted. You got a result as well now, right? The outcome is a good job now.
Yeah.
It's in Berlin?
It's in Munich.
It's in Munich. So are you shifting there?
Yeah.
Okay. Good that I got hold of you
I'm
before.
actually gonna shift this Friday, so you actually like reached out to me at the right time.
All right. So
Yeah.
tell us your journey of not having anything to now having a job.
Right. Okay. So of course, like right after I graduated, or let's say before I graduated, during the thesis, middle of June is when I actually started like properly putting out applications.
This is after you submitted your thesis?
No, this was during that thesis period.
Okay. Go
So,
ahead.
I mean, I was not really doing a working student, so I kind of had some more time along with my thesis to do this.
So just to establish the point, what domain are you going to be working in?
So it's called Digital Transformation Process Specialist. From what I understood from the role, it's basically going to be something like project management related to process improvement and things like that.
And what are the top 3 skills required to get this job?
project management skills, but I think what they were looking for was someone very authentic and someone who could bring that fresh perspective, because it's a very traditional company. It was established many years ago, so they really had a lot of processes that were kind of have been going on for a really long time. So they needed someone to kind of bring that fresh perspective into place. So I think that, and maybe I honestly I don't really know what were the top skills that made them select me, but when I did ask them, like I actually did ask them, okay, hey, why did you shortlist my particular CV? So the feedback that I got was that she really loved how my CV was arranged. It was like a good one-page CV, so I think that's important. She said it was very easy to follow, and apart from that, she mentioned the fact that the authenticity, so whenever there were any questions asked to me, it didn't seem like I was, just mugging something up and puking it out sort of a thing, but really I was thinking and just saying whatever I really felt at that point of time. So that authenticity is what they really, really like. And
And plus you didn't, no offense, but like you didn't bring a lot of experience as well, right?
Yeah,
Technically,
not
if
too
you
much.
see.
Yeah, yes.
Because market is so
absolutely.
competitive today.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And I don't want it to make it look easy because you've got jobs. So
Yeah,
they should
it's
also,
not.
Right? And how many job applications you might have done in that phase?
I think about 80 to 100.
Total or
I
a
would
day?
say.
In a day?
In a day. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. In a day, like I know I was doing like at least one per day because I wanted to keep that momentum. And then whenever I felt like, okay, I have a lot more energy and things like that, I would try to do maybe 4.
And where did you find this job from? Which
LinkedIn.
portal? Oh, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
They reached out to you or did you reach out to them? Or you
No,
applied
I
on
applied and I reached out. And actually, I mean, of course, a lot of people have also spoken about referrals. So like, trying to network and finding people in certain companies for them to refer you and so on. But honestly speaking, that never worked for me. Like literally the places that I did the referral thing, literally the next day I got a rejection. Like, so it honestly, that I don't really know if it actually works or not, but for me, it really did not work. And this was, I think, very random, very organic. And in fact, even the job description, they said that they wanted someone with more than 3 years of experience and they wanted like project management skills, they wanted Scrum certification.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't have any of these. So I was very shocked when they called me for an interview. But I think that also like maybe a silver lining that, I think you should still apply in any case. I think that's important. And one more thing I was really doing is like, this is a piece of advice I got was for every job role that you see, you really need to cater your CV to that. And I mean, literally copy pasting keywords from the job description into the CV. And I really started doing that for every application I did. So I really personalized that, like literally copy pasted. And the reason for this is because in a lot of these companies, they say that the HR is the person who's going to be screening your CV or maybe some tools.
Yeah.
They don't really have the technical knowledge to really understand what you've written is exactly what the job needs. So that's why you really need to use exactly those words because that's what they're going to be looking for in your CV as well. So I think that benefited me well to this point.
How many rounds of interview you had though?
It was fairly simple. I had 2 rounds of interviews. They were both 30 minutes each.
German or in English?
It was in English. So the job itself was for the East European region. So I mean, overall, I didn't really need German for the role. Even in the job description, they said English is enough. Like they never even mentioned German.
Okay.
So yeah, it was all in English.
So just for people who are watching us and coming next year, what are the non-negotiable skills they should definitely bring on the table? What comes to your mind?
Okay, I'm not sure if this is a skill, but I think at least for interviews, like something that they really like is the willingness to learn and the like not an attitude, like not a know-it-all attitude, not like, oh, okay, I know this, I know that, but more like I'm willing to learn this and I'm very open-minded. So I think that's something that companies really value here. In terms of skills, I think it really depends like on what you're looking at, but what I've seen as analytical skills is literally mentioned everywhere if you see job descriptions. So I would say that is quite important. I think overall it's like, it depends on what you're really looking into, so I think it's really hard to answer that question.
So from Masters in Management, you specialize yourself in what area?
Entrepreneurship and innovation.
And in your due process of finding a job, where was this whole brand name helped? Did that help you anywhere or no?
ESMT Berlin.
Yeah, the association you have now
Yeah.
on your CV, well, because that's what at the end of the day, आप कहीं ना कहीं तो use करते हो, right? वो चीज़. Did you use that or was that helpful?
To be honest, I don't think it was really that helpful to me. I think in Germany Germany, the thing is that a lot of people know more of the famous public universities, but a lot of people don't necessarily know the private ones.
Even though they may be good, but
Yeah.
just people don't know about them.
Exactly.
You know, so we may say that ESMT is a good brand. They are known for their academics, they are known for their exposure, they are known for their infrastructure, they are known for their connections. But अगर सामने वाले को पता ही नहीं है, these facilities are there. I think वो बहुत कम लोगों को पता है कि यार ESMT, Mannheim Business School, WHU, ESCP ये सारे बहुत बड़े ब्रांड नेम है. बट अगर एम्प्लॉयर को नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा है इन सब चीजों से, अगर उसने अपने पूरी लाइफ Humboldt, TU Berlin, TU Munich यही सुना है.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these are relatively newer business schools. So, of course, people who are much older, they all the more don't know about it. So, I would say brand name wise, yeah, maybe not really so helpful. But again, can't compare to a public university because I don't know what happens. But still, I can tell you that my experience is really interesting at ESMT because we had an internship period that we had to do compulsorily during the course for 6 months. And when you need to do a mandatory internship, usually you do get more preference than having to do a voluntary internship. So I did that in Bosch. So I mean, okay, in the span of like say 2 years, I've moved in 3 cities because I had to move to Stuttgart. Once I was done with my internship, I had the option of doing an exchange semester as well. And I did that at Rotterdam School of Management. So I was there for another 4 months. So I think overall with this experience, it also just like it's the adaptability that you learn with moving to 4 different cities in that span of 2 years. And I'm going to make my 4th move to Munich now. So it's exhausting, but I think it's also like it teaches you a lot about just like I said, adjusting in life and growing as a person that way.
I mean, I hope you stay in that job and in Munich for long and you don't have to move. Just curious, give us a bracket, how much salary you're getting?
So I would say I'm getting between 55 to 65k.
Given the cost of living there, how are you going to survive?
Yeah, I have heard that Munich is a bit more expensive than Berlin. I think it's going to be enough to survive. Like, it's definitely going to be, it's above the average pay and everything.
It's your first job to start,
it's my
right?
first job, exactly, yeah. I'm still positive about it. Yeah, I'm going to maybe have to compromise on the living situation of things.
For sure.
But I think other than that, it's going to be like a very peaceful and good life.
What's the total expenditure you have made here to get this degree though? Like the tuition fees was 22 lakh?
Exactly.
22?
Yeah.
And total cost of living would have been for last 2 years?
Maybe you can take like about 800 per month. Everything.
So that's again 10 lakh rupees
Yeah.
per year. Okay. So roughly about like 40 lakh rupees has been spent.
Yeah.
Are you self-sponsored? Have you taken loan? What is it?
No, self-sponsored, as in like my parents were sponsoring my education.
Okay. Do you think from 2025 job market is only going to get tighter and like super hard to get in?
I feel like the job market, there's always something going on, you know, there is literally always something going on. So I think it's like, it could also, the war is a big factor of that, so it could get tighter, yes. I feel like I'm a very optimistic person that way, in the sense like I don't really tend to research a lot about the market and things like that. I'm just more like, okay, you need to do something, you do it, you give very quality applications. That's what I did. I know my cover letter was on point and I know my CV was on point. And yeah, I mean, I think that definitely helped. And I think maybe for some other friends of mine, they converted their internships that they were doing, like the Bosch one that I mentioned, they converted that into a full-time now, so that's also possible. I couldn't do it because Bosch is having a hiring freeze, so they couldn't hire me back. But yeah, I think overall, also I think Berlin is a startup hub. Helps to live in such a city where English is also kind of okay to speak and yeah.
At any given point back of your mind where you're thinking like, what if I don't get a job? What if I have to go on a job seeker visa and still like struggle to get a job given the external situations? बहुत सारी चीजें चल रही दुनिया में, right? War, blah blah blah, all that. Was that insecurity there?
For sure. I mean, like those are the things also that kind of, it could be used in both ways. Either it's like, no, okay, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna apply, or it's gonna be like, oh, what's the point of this? Let me just sit and not do anything. So I think I had both of those phases with this thought that, okay, what am I gonna do? But I think like, okay, worst case for me was I will go back to India. We do have a business in India, so I mean, I always had a backup option, so to say.
Okay.
But I honestly, like personally, I didn't want to go back to India, but this was just, of course, the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but like you still had so much time. Like you graduated and your 18 months could have started, right? Or it was already started?
No, I graduated end of August.
And?
So actually, like now my 18 months kind of start.
Wow. Technically now you don't have to because you'll now directly join as an employee.
Yeah, I actually got my job seeker residence permit itself because by the time I got the contract, it would have been too late, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
also applying for another work permit. So instead, I was like, let me just get this right now, and then probably after probation, I will apply for the work permit or the blue card, because I know after probation they will have a hard time kicking me out of the company. So I think at least this was something that my university also suggested, that you can actually stay on your job seeker visa until like maybe your probation is over, because then
smart.
yeah, that's actually kind of smart. Yes, so just in case something goes wrong, at least you still have your job seeker and you can still be in the country and look for more jobs.
Last question. What do you want to tell all those students who are interested to do MIM and MBA?
I think you should really weigh out the cost benefit value, because I can't say what is expensive for someone and what is not expensive for someone. Everybody has their own, say, threshold. So I think what's really important is to do that cost benefit analysis. And I think for me, it was okay to do a 2-year MIM course, which was much cheaper, like 25,000 euros, versus a 1-year MBA, which was literally double the price. Because I know MBA students are also finding it very difficult to find a job right now. I know a lot of people who are literally still having to kind of do those junior roles because their previous experience, which was not in Germany, was not even counted. So I think, overall that cost benefit analysis, if you take it into account, the MIM was definitely much more economical, and I'm getting a lot more benefit from it as well.
So if you were to go back and redo everything, you would stick to this process.
Yeah.
You would not want to change anything.
Yeah, I think I would have in fact applied a year earlier.
Oh, okay.
Because I waited 2 years, but again that was because of COVID. So maybe if I applied after 1 year of work experience, I think also would have been nice to get that kickstart into having some money coming in.
All right, that is it, what we have. If you have any question around MIM, in ESMT or any other university, please reach out to the university representatives directly. I will also leave your Instagram
Yes.
in the description.
Yeah.
If you have any question, please reach out to her directly, and I hope you answer them. Otherwise, मेरे को गाली पड़ेगी. Right? With that being said, if you have made it till here, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.